Hello, welcome to Midnight Movie Gang. Even though it's not midnight, it's 8 o'clock. This is your host, Elsie Hines, and I'm here with my good friend,
Joseph F. Arthurs.
Yeah. This is episode 2 of this podcast that's been recorded. The first episode, at the time of this recording, is not uploaded yet because I have to do some major edits because we ran into so many technical difficulties with
First show issues
that we're not going to run into here. We are recording onto an external solid-state hard drive.
We're staying positive. If anything goes wrong on this, we'll just give up and die.
We'll just cry, and then I'm just never going to do it again. And we got 2 much more stable mics now.
So stable.
Yeah, so the most stable. And what movie are we going to talk about today? Or actually, we just finished, for the first time, just watched this movie, and I've lied to a lot of people about watching this movie. I used to lie about watching a lot of movies.
I showed up here to watch this movie, and I was like, so have you seen this before? Like, what do you know? And he's like, no, this is my first time seeing it. I'm like, this is your first time seeing Oldboy?
He just wasn't ready.
And I was like, what do you know about it? And he's like, there's like a scene with like an octopus. And I'm like, oh my God, I am in for a treat.
He eats an octopus, and then he's trapped in a room for 15 minutes. Which is, for this section, we're going to have a spoiler-free discussion for a minute, and then dig into spoilers, and we'll let you know, and I'll put in the description the time when we start talking about spoilers. But yeah, this is my first time watching it. I had a long period in my film bro life in high school and college where I lied to a lot of people about movies. Like, I love movies, but there are certain staples that I have lied to people about seeing.
Yeah.
For example, I did not see the film James Cameron's Titanic until about 2 months ago.
That's okay.
I really liked it.
It's good.
Yeah.
I think that if I had died without seeing it, I would have been fine.
Yeah. I mean, I was enjoying it up to the point where I was really enjoying it, and I was like, oh, this boat's going to crash at some point. I forgot.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about Leonardo DiCaprio. What a different movie that would be.
Oh, my God.
We're here to talk about Oldboy.
Otherwise known as Man.
Otherwise known as Man. Is that like the alternate title, or that's...
No, because like an old boy is a man.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Now that I think about it, the actual name of for some reason I thought that this man was like... Oh, that was like his nickname.
It's honestly a fucking badass word, like regardless of the context.
It's just badass on a poster. It's fun to say.
Old boy.
Old boy. Oldboy is reading from the Wikipedia, is a 2003 South Korean neo-noir action thriller film, which I think is a very apt description.
It's honestly like, I was watching this and I'm like, how often do you watch a movie that...
How often do you watch a movie?
Very rarely. How often do you watch a movie that makes you feel this wide of a range of emotions? Like, there's a lot of really funny parts in this movie, and then there's great action, and then there's parts that are just like a Greek tragedy, and then there's parts that it's just the full range, and I'm like, why aren't more movies like this?
Yeah, it's a really full range of emotion. I didn't expect it to be as kind of absurdist as it was.
Yeah.
Like, I was expecting a lot more. I mean, the movie is very serious, and it gets very dark, obviously.
I think it comes down to just how human the protagonist is, and I think that's where all the humor and all the no matter what he does, you're still like on his side. Yeah, he's so strange, but it makes perfect sense. Given the context.
Yeah, you would be strange after like what happens to him. Which, which
he's so weird.
We're not going to talk about in super detail of.
No.
For the people who haven't seen it, which, I mean, it makes sense. This is kind of like cult, at least in America.
Yeah.
And like Western.
Can I just say, I recommend watching it with like your full friend group, at least one other person, because you're going to want to talk about it.
Yeah, watching it alone would be. I would have had a hard time navigating it if you weren't there to explain certain things, but that's more. That is more.
It's the subtitles, and
it's more because culturally, I think some things get lost, and it's always something I have a hard time with watching media from other countries, especially like from like Asian cinema.
Yeah,
like whether it's Korean or it's like a martial arts like film, like Hong Kong cinema, which I've been relatively recently trying to like watch older Jackie Chan and like Bruce Lee movies, and same thing with like anime as well. I have such a hard time with the cultural kind of dissonance that's there.
And and anything that seems strange to you because you might have missed something, you just kind of write off as like, maybe I just don't understand.
Yeah, because it's like a culture thing that's not in my head. Like, it's like, what's up?
Do you want to do the tea thing?
Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, Courtney would be so mad at me.
We can edit it to be at the top,
That's true. Or we can, at the beginning, here's our tea. So, Joseph and I are drinking tea. Joseph, tell us what kind of tea you're drinking. What brand of tea?
I'm having a delicious vanilla caramel chai from Tazo.
Tazo tea.
Tazo. Please sponsor us with whatever you're pronounced.
And I'm having a ginger tea from Yogi. Yoki? I don't know if it's Yogi or Yoki.
Yucky tea.
It's quite good. Yucky. It's not that yucky. It's pretty good. I really like ginger tea. Ginger tea helps me when I have headaches.
Chai to me always, I don't know, I feel like a white girl drinking it. But white girls have really good taste when it comes to like flavors.
Absolutely. The pumpkin spice. I've been turned on the pumpkin spice.
Dude, I love pumpkin spice.
Starbucks has this pumpkin spice like chai latte that's so fucking good.
It is. Oh my god. I saw it and I was like, I need to get that, and I need to rub it in my girlfriend's face that she's not drinking it right now.
It's so good. I kind of like it better iced though, personally. It's like a fucking milkshake.
Oh, I love all my drinks iced better.
Anyway, back to the movie. Oh, but before we get onto the movie, a movie that is the biggest example of that thing where like it's hard for me to get past that cultural dissonance is Akira.
Like I've never seen it.
Akira is so good, but you know,
I've seen like the anime. I've been super impressed. Yeah, I love like every frame I've seen of it. But yeah, anime for me in general is super hard to get into.
Yeah,
just because of the tonal shifts and
it's just a thing of like
difference.
That movie in particular. So much of it, like I've watched video analysis of it and stuff, and so much of the context of that movie is baked into like Japanese culture and like the history there, and like how school, like how education functions in that society and stuff, and how like children are treated, and like it's just a cultural and historical context that I do not contain the information of. But it sucks because I can see how much effort and how much like weight that it holds, but I just don't have the context, so it doesn't hit me as hard. And like that's a big part of like why the anime that I grew up loving, or anime that I have had an attachment to, is almost based in Western culture. Like Cowboy Bebop and One Punch Man, My Hero Academia are all animes that borrow a lot from like Western culture. You know, whether it's like film or music or whatever.
I think that's a problem with like foreign films in general, is there's a lot of cultural context that goes into art, especially art that's that collaborative, you know, that's written out and then filmed. It's just you have everyone's input and everyone is from a certain background that we don't share. But I think it's that's why like foreign film is so great for like broadening your mind and horizons.
It's also a thing where it's like, especially in the case of this movie, there's just some shit that they would not cover in the same way in like an American film, which I'm sure we're about to do, because right after we finish this half, it's in the same episode, we're gonna watch the Spike Lee 2013 version of Oldboy.
Yeah, we're going to see an American take on this story.
Yeah, but back to the movie itself. Joseph, tell me about like your first time watching this movie. Wait, was it the first time when you saw it in the theater like recently for the re-release, or?
Yeah, so I knew a lot about it before seeing it, but this recent re-release, my friend was like, "Hey, it's going on." I had no idea what was going on, so we went and we watched it, and oh my god, I saw it on the big screen surrounded by other people who had undoubtedly seen it. And it started out with this like almost like a disclaimer from the director.
Oh, that's cool. Like he
Park Chan-wook.
Yeah, Park Chan-wook. Sorry if we're mispronouncing. No,
so
I don't know if I'm mispronouncing.
No, I'm sorry, everybody.
We definitely are. Anyway,
but he came out on screen and he was like, "Hey, so just so you know," like this is paraphrasing. Obviously, he was speaking Korean, but
they had subtitles.
He came out. He said,
he came into your theater.
He came and he sat on my lap and he gave me a kiss on the cheek and he said, "Listen, this movie is pretty. It can get pretty intense. I decided, like, what's the point of a movie if it's..." And that's I'm digressing, but he basically said this movie can get pretty extreme. So if you have like a weak sensibility, or you don't like certain like actions, or you're a big fan of octopus, then maybe you shouldn't see this.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I can't recommend this movie to for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, it's really intense, but I think that's a good thing because I've seen him in I've seen him in interviews where he's like, "Why would anyone make a movie that doesn't make you feel strongly?" And that's
you mean like react strongly, like have a
well, that's the thing
response.
I noticed about this second viewing was every single scene makes you feel one way or the other. It's not just to give information. Like every single scene evokes some kind of emotional reaction from me, whether it's laughing or cringing from like or feeling sad or feeling like satisfied by the fucking amazing action in this movie. Oh my god, the action.
Yeah, the action in the fight scenes, which there aren't a whole lot, but the ones that they are directed really well.
Yeah,
and the hallway fight is just iconic.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's not a spoiler.
Yeah, you've seen it referenced.
One of the,
you've seen it. I wonder if Spike is even gonna attempt.
He does.
He attempts.
Attempt is the right word.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. I just want to speak before we start talking about spoilers. I want to just talk about my viewing experience with it. It definitely like the beginning of the movie didn't super grab me a whole lot. Like I thought the visuals were very interesting, and immediately it was just kind of more weird than I was expecting. Like I went into it thinking like, oh, it's going to be a noir type film.
No, and it's a lot more experimental.
Yeah, it's a lot more kind of like abstract. And there was a word I said while we were watching it, but like it's just weirder than I expected, and the characters weren't super grabbing me, and there just wasn't a whole lot at the beginning.
It's because the interactions are so strange.
Yeah, but there's like they open up kind of a new plot line ish in the second act that started to pique my interest, and the end just tied it all together so perfectly. Like I'm so excited to rewatch this movie, knowing where it ends up.
Show it to someone else.
Yeah, and and watch other people react.
I was looking over at you, watching you react. Like this is the exact moment that it's gonna click, and I saw it happen, and it was so visual.
No, I was from that point on. I was literally sitting on the edge of my seat. Like, what fuck?
Yeah, he literally was. He scooted up to the edge of his seat.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what I'll say is like, as far as like. This movie definitely, the subject matter that this movie ultimately deals with is something that is like really, like, taboo is not the right word. Something that is like very off-putting, and it's something
very personal and sort of intimate.
Yeah, intimate's even like it's gross.
Yeah, it takes a very cold look at the human soul. To get pretentious about it.
And it's something that, like, if you have trauma associated with, like, I guess, if you're on the fence about, like, certain, like, fucked up subject matter, like, especially in terms of, like, sex, which I'll say, like, like, there is, like, sex-based trauma that is explored in this movie, and if that is something that is particularly emotionally traumatizing to you,
probably shouldn't see
I'd probably stick away. If you want to know more details about what exactly it is, listen to the spoiler section. If you're like on the fence about it, but yeah, like if that's something that you have some trauma with, maybe you should wait, or it isn't for you, or just like look up more about it.
Yeah, it's bad. I've seen worse in other movies, but it can get
I'm trying to think. I guess I have seen some worse, but this is like I might be just like used to like Americanized, watered down shit right now, because I haven't seen something that is this fucked up in a while.
Sure, yeah.
It's been a minute.
It's a very visceral feeling movie, and I think that's my favorite thing. But, like every single detail just feels like you can reach out and you can feel the emotions.
Like at a certain point, like I'm gonna check and see our Chinese food.
Oh hell yeah! Oh yeah, this movie made us
I want Chinese food.
Made us hungry for Chinese food, and not because we're racist.
No.
Maybe a little bit because of that, but mostly because he eats Chinese food in the movie.
They just picked up the order at the restaurant, so we have a minute to still talk. But basically, it had me gripped from that point onwards. I highly recommend it just if you're a fan of good stories and great acting. Like this actor who plays, what's the main character's name again? I'm so bad.
Odesu.
Odesu, yeah. Choi Min-sik.
Yeah.
I really hope I'm not.
It's
I probably
okay.
am. I'm sorry if I am.
We're not from this country.
But yeah, this actor did an incredible job at portraying just like such a wide range of emotion.
Yeah.
Like he really.
Oh my God.
That's another thing too. Is like oftentimes if something is in a language that I do not know, it's hard for me to kind of like perceive
to judge the
performance.
Yeah.
Because like I don't necessarily know if someone is saying something like.
If you want to see like a big performance on all ends of the emotional spectrum.
But it comes through because he does a lot with his face and his body language, and just like there's so much like you could watch this movie on mute. I think.
Oh
like,
yeah.
You could watch this movie without hearing the people speak, and I think everything will come through. It's a very all the performances are very visual in that way, especially from him.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I think, like I said, he just feels like entirely human the entire time. The way he moves and jolts around, the way his hair and his clothes flail around as he's like sprinting from one place to the other in like a manic frenzy.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's definitely without talking about spoilers, I'm not saying anything else yet. Great visuals. I want to rewatch it again just for the soundtrack because oftentimes
a great soundtrack.
I feel like the first time I watch movies, I'm kind of like I'm looking at it with my eyes mostly. Yeah. And then when I see it again, I pick up more stuff like music and sound is something that upon second viewing I really pay more attention to. Right. Because I already kind of have that's how I felt about the movie that me and Courtney talked about in the last episode. No One Can Save You. No One Will Save You.
I haven't seen it.
Great movie or cool movie. Listen to the review and maybe
I should check out this.
Listen
podcast.
to the first episode. But yeah, sound is a big element of that film. But yeah, no, I can't recommend it enough. Now we're gonna start talking about spoilers.
Spoiler zone.
I personally don't have a whole lot of spoiler views. I think that like there's a lot you can get across without spoiling it, but nevertheless, we're gonna have a little spoiler discussion about it.
So, spoiler alert!
If you haven't seen this movie and you really want to,
recommended.
Please stop. Don't listen to this part.
Yep.
I'm gonna put it in the description that this is where we start talking about spoilers, and we're gonna start talking about spoilers now. Go ahead, Joseph.
Incest.
Lots of incest.
There was a point in this movie that and it was surprisingly early on. I looked over at LC and he's like, I did not expect incest to play this central of a role in this movie,
and it was before the even more incest.
And I had to like hold myself back from laughing and giving any kind of
I didn't. Then again, I wasn't paying attention over there because I was just watching the movie like, whoa, that's fucked up.
So the Greek tragedy part of this
He's
movie
fucking his sister
that I mentioned earlier comes in a little later. When we see the real reason why all this horrible shit has happened to Odesu. And that is because some crazy rich asshole has a vendetta against Odesu because Odesu
he caught
God, it's hard to explain.
He when they were school children, he was looking through the window and caught the rich guy and his sister, I forget all the characters' names. His sister performing sexual acts on one another,
sucking on the titty.
Yeah, sucking on the titties. So like being not so brotherly and sisterly.
Yeah, no, being way too brotherly and sisterly. One might even say
being a little too close for siblings.
And so the real tragedy is. Do you want to like start from the start, or do you want to like get right into it?
What do you mean start from the start?
Like do you want to lay more groundwork about like so he gets out?
Oh yeah, like the plot. Yeah. Like,
I don't want to jump to the end. I just want to make an incest joke.
Okay, well I'll describe the plot basically. Like, basically, our main character, who Odesu, Oldboy.
Old boy.
The movie opens up and he's like drunk in a police station.
Yeah, he's like screaming like an asshole. He's just being a douche.
And his buddy comes to pick him up because he's drunk.
Yeah.
And they get on the phone. And Odesu, he calls his daughter on the phone.
He's like, I got you this gift.
And then he gets kidnapped. And he wakes up in like a shitty looking hotel room. The door's locked. He can't get out.
Yeah.
And he's trapped in there for 15 years.
Yep. He's in there with a TV. He's fed the same fried dumplings every single day.
Which we ordered something similar to.
And made us really want dumplings, so we ordered dumplings. And so I think the least believable part in this movie for me is the fact that he trained himself to be like a total martial arts badass.
You would hate the movie Bulletproof Monk because that's the whole thing.
Just without a single like opponent, literally just fighting the wall the whole time. But it doesn't make it any less badass. It's like this really grueling, like 20-minute section of the movie where he tattoos a tally on himself every year that he's there. He's clearly going insane. He's seeing ants crawl out of his skin. He's trying to get out. They clearly know he's trying to get out. They know everything about him. They're like gassing him to cut his hair and shit.
They knock him unconscious to clean the room and cut his hair.
Mm-hmm. And then he one day he just wakes up in this suitcase on top of a building. Mm-hmm. And he sees this
guy who's about to try to kill himself, and he's got a little cute puppy.
Yeah,
I think the puppy made it.
You want to hope that the puppy made it,
yeah.
But he sees this guy. He's sitting on the edge of the building. He's obviously about to kill himself. He tries to fall off, and he catches him by the tie, and he's like, "No, you will listen to my story." And then off camera, he tells him his story, and then the guy's like, okay, that's a crazy story, man.
Hear my story.
Shit. Well, let me tell you why I wanted to kill myself. And the guy just stands up and walks away.
Yeah,
I fucking love that.
Just like, no, don't have time for
that
this.
shit makes me laugh every single time I see it.
I'm so hungry.
And then the dude, we see the dude actually just jumps off and kills himself. So,
Yeah.
That kind of sets the tone for exactly
Yeah. Kind of
the kind of humor this movie might be going for.
Black comedy, just like almost cringe humor, I guess you could call it.
There's some of that. That might just be like lost in translation kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Once again, I think a lot of it is like there's some like cultural there's like a cultural barrier that like and that's part of what I didn't like about the movie at first, or rather like I could just tell
how odd it felt.
I'm not getting it.
Yeah.
As far as like I'm not attaching myself to the vibe in the way that I should.
And I mean, like, just on cinematography alone, though, and the blocking of every single shot in this movie, like I could just, like you said, I could watch it with the sound turned off. Mm-hmm. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Who's the DP on this? Can we find?
Yeah.
Look that up, Jamie.
Jamie, bring that up.
It's fine. I'm sure I won't be able to pronounce the name.
Chung Hoon.
Cool. That doesn't sound right. I'm seeing it though, but.
Oh, he did some work on some American movies.
Oh, he did. He did Zombieland.
Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. Last Night in Soho, which I still need to see.
Oh, that's in theaters right now, isn't it? No, wait, no,
that came out.
Yeah,
in 2021.
Never mind.
I still need to see that. I got spoiled for that movie, like hardcore. Well, the trailer actually.
Was it not actually the Last Night in Soho?
Well, the trailer for the movie spoiled the whole thing.
Oh, that sucks. I hate that.
He also did work on the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show.
Cool.
But I'm guessing he also worked with the director.
Oh my God, he did Oldboy?
He did Oldboy. I'm assuming that, it seems like he worked with Park Chan-wook many times.
He did Blades of Blood
as well.
Which fucking, wow.
But there are some pretty great visual, some great cinematography, great blocking in this movie.
Yeah, no, I love the way this movie looks.
Mm-hmm.
So he finds himself in a sushi restaurant. I don't think we have to like recap every single story.
Yeah, he meets a girl in a sushi restaurant.
He's like, I want to eat something alive.
Yeah.
So he eats a live octopus,
which they did for real, apparently.
Oh yeah, no, it's a very. I don't know how they would have faked that. It's like grabbing onto his face.
Yeah.
That's actually. I can. You know why he ate it head first? Because they would have grabbed the inside of his throat. The suckers.
He ate 4 of them.
Oh my God!
Or 4 were used during the filming of the scene.
Yeah, because there's one when his head is down. I noticed that there's like this shot that's backing up away from his head when his head's down on the plate. You can see one of the tentacles is still moving, like hanging out of his mouth.
It was such a nasty moment.
But he meets this girl and they fall in love like instantly, and it's super awkward and weird. But like being an American audience, we're like, yeah, maybe that's just like I don't know,
CGI.
I don't know anything.
It looked very real.
I'm talking about the relationship between him and the.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were still talking about.
Maybe
the
she was CGI, and that's why she fell in love with him so quick.
I thought you were talking about the octopus stuff.
Computer
sorry,
women,
between the girl he meets the restaurant and him.
Yeah, no, it feels a little awkward, and that might.
Yeah.
But being like an American audience, we think like maybe that's just like this weird.
Maybe
cultural thing that we don't understand.
Maybe they're just behaving in a way that might seem normal to like an audience from this country.
Yeah, they have like this super strange and interesting chemistry that's super engaging to watch on screen, and you're like, wow, they're like a weirdly like cute couple.
I
They're just both so fucking strange.
I think I disagree with that a little bit.
You do?
As far as like the whole time I felt their relationship was weird. But honestly, most of it just had to do with like the age difference.
Yeah.
The fact that he's like...
That is weird.
Literally, he's like twice, if not more, the age older than her. And like I felt...
Yeah, that's weird that he's so much older than her.
Yeah, no, I mean, I felt... Yeah, that...
She could be his daughter.
That plus after like her, he pretty much... tries to sexually assault her in the bathroom.
He does, yeah.
While she's taking a shit.
And then she's instantly forgives him.
And then she's like, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, she's like oh, I'm so sorry.
We can have sex later.
I'm sorry I turned you down.
Yeah, I felt that whole thing made me feel... Here's the thing,
it all makes sense in hindsight.
It's supposed to make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like,
and it
very rarely do I watch a movie that makes me feel so strongly one way or the other in every single scene. Like, whether it's discomfort... or just like grossed out or sadness or
I mean the reason why is because he at that point like he was locked in a room for 15 years, so the dude is like the dude is insanely mentally unstable.
He sees the first woman he's seen in 15 years and he's backed into a corner of an elevator like freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, just like coming in his pants.
Yeah, he is literally coming in his pants.
Yeah, and
it's like am I supposed to laugh or am I supposed to
and like but yeah, no, the whole relationship there, like I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's something where like there's a cultural barrier, but like it definitely made me uncomfortable, and then automatically like I never thought this guy was a good guy.
No,
throughout the whole movie.
No,
like it's just like he's just got a very interesting story.
He's a guy,
and definitely by the end of the movie, I felt bad for him.
He's just he's not expected to be a hero in this story. There's nothing about the story that would make a man into a hero. He's literally it's a revenge story with
an
this
asshole at the beginning.
Man.
He's an asshole at the beginning. He does some bad things, but definitely terrible, awful things happen to him.
Oh yeah, no, I'd be surprised to see anyone that had this stuff happen to them be anything but a piece of shit.
I forget where I heard this or like read this. I think it was like a director commentary for some movie or something, but like I forget who said it. But there was some filmmaker that basically said, or a screenwriter that basically said, if you're writing a story, like a book, a movie, whatever, be mean to your characters.
Oh yeah, big time.
Because like oftentimes people, when they like first start getting into like writing stories and stuff like that, the mistake they make is that they're too nice to their characters, because either like they have an attachment to them because like, oh, I made these characters, or they're based off of real people you know.
Yeah, my problem whenever I write, I tend to I get a little lazy. The goal is to put your characters in as hard of a situation as possible. the point where you cannot imagine how they're going to get out of it.
Yeah.
And I'll in my experience, I've put them in positions that are a little too easy because I don't want to think that hard about how I'm going to get them out of it.
Yeah.
But this situation, like what's driving him is
he wants revenge.
It's revenge, and also just trying to figure out what
happened to him.
Why did I get kidnapped and put in this place for 15 fucking years?
The reason? You know, and you as an audience want to know too. Like, you want to know what the fuck's going on, and that's like that was the primary motivation for me caring, is because like I want to know, not necessarily because like I care about this guy getting his revenge.
Just tell me. Yeah, and there's this really good scene where he comes to face with the antagonist who locked him up. He knows this for sure. And he's like, I'm going to fucking kill you. And he's like, well, you could kill me right now. It'd be very easy, but you'll never know what happened. Or you could let me live, and maybe you'll find out. So, like, do you want to satiate your curiosity or your revenge? And that's so great. I love when a character has two motivations like that, and they're just put at odds.
Yeah.
It's so satisfying to watch.
That was definitely a cool moment.
And it's just the whole, especially watching it a second time, you see the dominoes being set up to be knocked down later.
Exactly. Yeah. That's around when the movie started getting really interesting for me, because like I wanted to know why this villain cared. And I had all sorts of weird theories throughout. Like all my theories about what was going on was way less interesting than what actually it ended up being. As far as like my first theory, and what I thought from the beginning is like, oh, they're like training like super soldiers.
Yeah, he was like
they want to make crazy assassins.
Yeah, you were like, I bet they're training this guy, like they're making him into like a badass assassin on purpose.
A league of Winter Soldier robots called Oldboys.
Yeah, you know, yeah. It's like, no, you wait.
Our Chinese food is getting closer.
Oh,
and closer.
fuck yeah.
But yeah, basically,
did you want to like wrap up
Well, just quickly get into like the end of the movie, to get to what it is. Basically, it's revealed that like the bad guy, once they start talking about like his sister and like how they all knew each other, kind of as school children, and the fact that like our main character, I'm forgetting his name again, Odesu, he catches them doing lewd acts on one another, and
sucking the titty,
and then basically it's all revealed that like this whole thing, the whole reason why he was in prison and why it was revenge is because the whole thing was set up to where the young woman that he meets at the beginning of the movie that he has a relationship with, they have sex, it's revealed that is his daughter. Like our main character's daughter from years before, and this whole thing was orchestrated.
When that reveal happened, I looked over. Elsie put his hands on his head, like what?
Yeah. Like it was pretty cool how they did the reveal too, because it wasn't like the bad guy told him. Like he brought out like a yearbook.
Mm-hmm. It's not that yearbook, perfect reveal where like there's like a ramp, right, of when it gets more and more obvious, like, and kind of everyone starts to like piece it together at different points when they're watching.
He opens the box and it's a photo album, and he goes through and it's pictures of his family, and then like you see his daughter start to grow up, and then it's like, oh, it's her. And you see photos and pictures
and
of them
to
together.
her, and she's got the gift that he was gonna give her in the at the beginning of the movie when she was a little kid.
And it's just so disgusting, and the horror.
Oh my god, that scene where he's
on his face.
And everyone talks about the hallway scene. The hallway scene is great. I will not deny that. That is one of the best action scenes I've ever seen in my life. The scene where he is begging the antagonist
to not tell his daughter.
Oh my god!
Because she's like in it elsewhere with another photo album in front of her, and they're in a box, and he's just like telling her, "Dude, don't open the box. Whatever you do not open the box."
Oh my god! And he's like, he's begging this guy, and he's like flashing between just like rage and like, "I will kill you."
And he's crying.
Please. He's like licking his shoes, and he's like sweating, and he's on his knees. It's like, "I'll be your dog."
Once he started doing the dog thing, I was kind of like,
"Okay." For him, but that's the thing. It's like.
No, it's crazy.
Like, it's like watching a Tarantino movie where it's like, am I supposed to be laughing or am I supposed to be cringing? And it's like both the answers are right.
That specific dog thing took me out for a second, but still, like, just the whole.
Oh my god! And then he cuts his tongue off.
Yeah,
it cuts his tongue out, and it's like the most.
To show how devoted he is.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I'm glad she never found out, but like the ending. So basically, he goes to visit this hypnotist woman who was kind of like part of like what was making them go together, and basically asking her to erase his memory, kind of to like set up like a mental block. And you don't know if it works or not, but the daughter with this
she has no idea
what's going on. She goes to him and tells him that she loves him, and you don't know if the memory block worked on him or not, or if he's like kind of accepted it, or just it's
and that's the thing, that there's this underlying, one of the many themes in this movie is like, when you smile, the world smiles with you.
This DoorDash driver is having difficulty getting here.
We should bring him up, and he should be the third member
of the podcast.
But the last shot of the movie is he's smiling, and you don't know if he's smiling because he's happy or if he's smiling because he's
crazy,
because he's trying to bear this awful thing, because that's what he's been doing the whole movie. Is he's done both. He smiled when he's happy, and he smiled when he's distraught or when he's super upset.
He's freaking it, when he's like.
It's such a great ending. I love an ambiguous ending. I just watched The Shining all the way through for the first time. I've seen enough of it. I've seen pretty much every scene, but I've never sat and watched it. And I watched it, and I love the ambiguity of that movie.
I haven't seen The Shining in a long time.
Oh, I love how, like, at the end of it, I was like, what the fuck is this movie even about? It can't even decide. Like, are the ghosts real? Or, like, is it about a guy who just goes crazy? Or is it about ghosts who push this guy over the edge of going crazy? Like, what are the ghosts? What is the hotel? I love that. I love a movie that like creates this whole world in your head that sparks more creativity. I think that's what all the best art does. And this movie has that kind of ambiguity here and there. That's just like, if this was made in America to begin with, we would have had like an Artemis Hotel version.
we're gonna see that.
Well, if it was made in America and was good, which never happened.
I know nothing about the Spike Lee version. Wait, so you said you've only seen parts of it? Like, did you watch it partially and not finish it, or like?
I've seen clips.
You seen
I
clips?
saw a video online
that kind of like compared them.
YouTuber Your Movie Sucks. He made basically a full comparison of the two movies from beginning to end, and oh my god, it is stark.
I mean, regardless though, I'm still excited to see it because I'm gonna say I love some of Spike Lee's movies. I think there are some things about his filmmaking style I don't love, but I'm still excited to see what he does with this story.
He was a gun for hire for this one, I believe.
Okay,
like this was not his
choice.
passion. Like you said that he was not their first choice. And I if you watch interviews with him talking about, I think I might be stealing this from that video I was talking about, but if you watch interviews of him talking about movies that he's actually passionate about, that he wrote, that he's interested in, he's super animated and interested.
He's a super passionate filmmaker.
There's an interview with him talking about Oldboy, and he just doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
He's made this movie because it made him money, you know? But whatever. I haven't seen it. Maybe I'll watch it and I'll think it's the best movie ever. I've seen enough to know that that's not true.
Yeah. Sorry, my laptop fell asleep, and I'm like, I hope it was still recording.
Please tell me it's still recording.
No, it's still recording. I just hope it. I'll check it after.
No, but I think after we watch the American version, to have something to contrast with it, we'll have even more to say about the original.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah, no, I mean, speaking of Spike, just a little, prelude to the Spike Lee thing, is that he's a filmmaker that, like, as far as like. Every movie I've seen of his, the subject matter is about race.
Yeah.
And like specifically like, black people and like their place in like American culture and whatnot. And that's, and it's a subject matter that he's obviously personally very passionate about, and like that passion comes through in his movies. And I don't imagine that this movie we're about to watch is going to have anything to do with that.
I don't think it does.
So it'll be interesting, it makes sense that it's going to be.
It would have been one thing if he'd cast like someone other than Josh Brolin to play the lead. If like he could have weaved some kind of tone. Well, whatever. We'll see.
I think the only bit I've seen of this movie is that I know Sam Jackson's in it. I don't know.
He is.
I don't know what character. Don't tell me what character he plays, because I don't want to know. And I remember seeing like a tiny little clip of Sam Jackson in this movie.
I like his character design in this movie.
Yeah. And just based off of him in that clip, I thought that he was going to be Mr. Oldboy.
I wish. Holy shit.
And the fact that it's Josh Brolin, I'm like, and I looked it up a few days ago, seeing that it was Josh Brolin, I was like, oh, I thought it was Sam Jackson. And now, especially after watching this fucking movie, if any American actor could have pulled off the insanity of this character.
Dude, he would. Sam Jackson Oldboy, I'd buy fucking 10 tickets.
Yeah, no, like if anybody could do that, it would be him. As far as being able to play somebody that unhinged and that distraught.
To be fair, I'd watch like a Sam Jackson any movie. Like I'd watch Sam Jackson Passion of the Christ.
Yeah. I just in my head can't imagine Josh Brolin pulling off.
He doesn't.
Anything.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't have, from what I've seen, he doesn't have nearly the emotional range. Like, listen, I love Josh Brolin. No Country for Old Men. Great movie. I love that movie. Josh Brolin. Yeah, you're right. He wasn't what made that movie good.
I mean, he's Thanos.
I think he's. I guess I haven't seen him very much, but he's. I think. No, I don't think that he has the chops for this. But it's all down to the director.
To me, in my head, it sounds like a miscast, but we'll see.
I mean, it's always like people often judge performances based on actors, and when it's a good actor, I'm fine giving credit to the actor. But when it's a shitty performance, I usually err toward like, well, they probably got really bad direction.
Yeah. So I think this is a good place to stop.
Yeah.
Because our food is here.
Dumpling time.
So very good timing, actually.
Fuck yeah.
Couldn't have planned it better. Yeah. So I guess people stay tuned. And we'll come back with our thoughts on Spike Lee's Oldboy. So hi listeners. For you, it was instantaneous. For us, it was 2 hours.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So yeah, we just watched the 2013 Spike Lee directed Barely. I don't blame Spike for this.
I'm gonna say it, and this might be controversial.
Adaptation of Oldboy.
This might be a little over the line, all right. And tell me if that movie straight up stunk on ice.
It was,
and I don't care who wants to fight me on that.
It was a pretty. it was just like a completely watered down version of the original.
It was like it's like someone described. I think what I said was it's like someone described the plot of the original Oldboy to someone who directs Hallmark movies, like for TV.
Yeah, I feel like it's a prime example of the fact that like ideas don't fucking matter as far as like because it's basically the same story. It's essentially the same twist with a few changes.
Oh yeah.
Execution wise, the performances, the production design, the visuals, the editing, the music, just everything about it.
Everything was worse.
It was
every single detail
bland.
Was like, worse in some way.
Yeah, like it was all functional. I guess the performances were the things that was like particularly bad, but it was just like nothing special, nothing memorable.
It's like it was made by people who don't give a shit about the original Oldboy one way or the other.
Yeah, I barely remember anything. The things I do remember are the things that were particularly bad.
Yeah.
But okay, so before we start tearing it apart, I want to ask you, because I have a few things. I just wanted to ask, was there anything that you genuinely liked or thought was cool or interesting?
I like the costume design. That's something I noticed. Sam Jack and the hair and makeup. Not so much on Josh Brolin, or Elizabeth Olsen, but the crazy characters.
Sam Jackson, Charlton Copley.
Mainly just Sam Jackson, I think. I think I like the idea of like this being
Copley's
like
scars.
Yeah. I think I like the idea of this, like, if they'd have leaned into the direction that Sam Jackson's, like, that's it. So there's a scene in this the scene where Sam Jackson and his gang are torturing Elizabeth Olsen's character, and he's just wearing this fucking crazy like red trench coat with like this crazy tie and this.
He's got wacky shoes.
He's got these crazy glasses and his mohawk, and it's like there's something hinted there of like an interesting like comic booky direction you could have gone with this whole movie.
The original film was based off of a manga.
Yeah,
and he was like the most exaggerated character.
Yeah, he could have like
in like a good way.
Yeah,
Sam Jackson was the best part of this movie.
He should have been the lead.
Yeah,
like you said, this whole movie would have been so much better.
He should have been Mr. I forget the Joe, Mr. Oldboy. He should have been the protagonist.
Yeah,
or the antagonist.
And Josh Brolin should have been taken out back and shot in the head, mercilessly.
Well, I just think he was miscast.
Yeah,
honestly.
no, I don't want to blame any of the actors because I know they're all good actors. It's just I think Spike Lee didn't give a shit about this project one way or the other.
Yeah, I just think he was the wrong person for. I mean, does it even say why he was attached? Because initially, this says initially Justin Lin was attached. Justin Lin being, I know him from directing one of the better. Yeah, he directed a good amount of the Fast and Furious movies. That's not a terrible pick.
I wouldn't have gone with it.
I mean, it makes sense as far as like having
like a decent action movie.
Well, having like the Fast and Furious movies, he was mainly known for Tokyo Drift, and those early Fast and Furious movies do have like this exaggerated graphic, almost like graphic, novel type style.
Yeah.
So like I can definitely see, and it's
like you said, Robert Rodriguez would have been a great pick.
Yeah, I'm even thinking more about the Justin Lin pick in my head as far as like those early Fast and Furious movies, like they have. And I recently watched with Courtney and a friend of ours. We recently rewatched a good amount of the Fast and Furious movies, and those early ones like have a lot of style and grit to them, and the world feels very lived in, and things are dirty and stuff. So like I can definitely see Justin Lin being a good pick.
Yeah, and well, it's like we were saying, like
Will Smith expressed interest in starring. That would have been crazy. Spielberg as director. No, that would never happen.
That would have been interesting, and that it wouldn't have been interesting. It's like we were saying. This movie emphasizes everything that was so good about the original, like the famous hallway scene alone. Oh my God, the hallway scene in the original Oldboy, it's iconic. So kinetic. Like it's famous for very good reason. Like it's so every single stunt actor in that scene, if you just watch, they have something to do all the time. They're like, oh, I just can't reach him yet. This hallway's so narrow. They're all progressively getting more tired. They're all throwing stuff at each other. He's getting more tired.
They utilize the space very well.
Oh my god, it's like they felt like, well, we got to do a hallway scene, so we'll get this like really wide hallway, and we'll have like 5 guys.
I think my biggest problem with this isn't just the hallway scene, but the hallway scene is probably the biggest example of it, is just how nothing the sets are and the locations.
Yeah.
Because it's just somewhere. It is a boring, clean concrete warehouse.
Yeah, and yes, absolutely. Yeah. You were saying like it's too clean, and it is. Yeah. The original Oldboy feels so sweaty and like grimy.
Everything was dirty.
It's all in like this like
gross.
Inner city, like the. And this one, like a lot of the scenes take place in the fucking suburbs.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
It's like I want that grit.
It's nowhere America.
Yeah, exactly.
There's say wait, I don't even know where this
I have
where
no
it took
idea.
place.
Some city.
I have we're looking at the Wikipedia plot. I don't think
Jamie's got it pulled up.
Yeah, Jamie's got it pulled up. And yeah, it doesn't alcoholic. Yeah, it doesn't say anywhere where it's supposed to take place.
No,
it's anywhere
Ohio.
America.
Yeah,
I can't even tell if it's a city really, or
yeah.
I guess Charlton Copley lives in like a high-rise penthouse at the end, so it must be some kind of city.
Speaking of Charlton Copley, what the fuck was he doing? What was he doing in this movie?
I don't know. I love Charlton Copley.
Me too.
And when I heard that he was playing the villain. Like when you told me that he was playing like the antagonist character in this movie, I was like, oh, that's a great pick.
Oh my god!
And
he's just doing this like ridiculous James Bond
villain, like just the most stereotypical, the most
Mr. Doucette,
the most like cartoony British accent, and it's not even.
I forced you to fuck your daughter, Mr. Doucette.
It's not even over the top in a way that's funny. It feels like a bad Austin Powers bit.
It's fucking ridiculous. It's like for comedy.
Yeah. Well, because you know what it is? I think it's like the line. He's not given any interesting lines.
No. Like he's given bad direction, too.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the writing isn't doing anything to like make this performance like interesting or funny.
I like when he is strangling Christopher Moltisanti with a tie and shouting whore into his ear over and over again.
Yeah, that was something.
That really made me feel something.
And just in general, yeah, that flashback with his sister also felt very Game of Thrones.
Oh my god.
Throne-ish when they were yelling that.
Yeah.
You know?
Whore.
Fucking I don't know. I just with Charlton Copley's character. Yeah, there was just a lot. Like the character in the original movie was so interesting. And the whole thing, okay. As far as changes made to this movie, the biggest change they made to the plot really was the villain's motivation and his whole like thing. Because in the original movie, Oldboy, like the main character, saw the villain fucking his sister.
Yeah.
When they were in high school.
Yeah. So I'm sucking the titty, as you said.
Sucking the titty. And in this movie, they changed it to where basically Charlton Copley's character and his sister were being basically sexually abused by their father.
Right.
But both of them, Charlton Copley's character
they were like into it.
And his sister, yeah, like seemingly, like, you know, they were but like Charlton Copley's perspective, at least at the point in this movie, is like, no,
we loved each other.
Yeah, like we loved what we had with our father, you know, etc.
Yeah.
And like a big part of that is that what that did to me while I was watching the movie, as far as like how I thought about this character, is like I viewed this version of this character directly more as like a victim.
Really?
As far as like this is a character that like everything he is doing, like all of this like revenge plotting, like this whole setup is all all stems from this terrible trauma that was put upon him, as opposed to in the original film like something that is kind of more, what's the word, like innately like, how do I put it, even though that character in the original movie is also like mentally ill and like wanting to have sex with your sibling is something that is gross, like something that is
the official stance of this podcast.
Incest
bad.
I how do I put it, I forgive the character in the original movie less. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
He's more of a villain.
Yeah, like,
and he's like an evil. And here's my thing:
that difference makes him feel more evil, I guess.
Yeah, when we're talking about the motivation of the antagonist, the guy in the original knows very clearly that this is going to really fuck up the protagonist. Like, this is just he knows that this is going to really fucking bother him.
Yeah.
This guy is like, there's a line at the end. Charlton Copley is like, I just wanted to show you what we had and what you took from me.
Yeah.
How it's like, you just wanted to show him how cool incest is? You just you wanted to make him see how cool it would be to fuck his daughter.
I don't know.
Just to make you feel extra bad for taking that away from Charlton Copley. He misses fucking his dad.
I feel like it's a thing
what
where
the
like
hell?
I think I need to rewatch and dig more into the original film in order to properly explain why I feel the backstory for the villain in the original was so much stronger.
Yeah.
Like, as far as like, I think, how do I put it? This, not to trivialize any of this trauma, but like, the villain's motivation in this movie is something that I see a lot more in media than the original. As far as like I've never really seen anything like everything like that the characters in the original went through as compared to this.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. This whole movie feels really, really, really dumbed down.
Yeah.
And we spend probably about 20 more minutes with the protagonist at the beginning,
and the movie's
when he's
still
a
15
dickhead,
minutes shorter.
And it's like we knew that this guy was a dickhead in the original in about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
In this one, like, he's a dickhead over here, he's a dickhead over there. This lady's calling him a dickhead. This lady's explicitly telling him he's an asshole. It's like, we know, we get it.
I feel like the way that this movie's paced, it's almost like the first half of it is way too slow.
Yeah.
And then the second half is way too rushed.
This pacing is ridiculous. We got to the last scene, we were like, are we already here?
Yeah.
Like, we got to the big revelation as to why this ridiculous man is fucking with him. And we get there, and it's like, oh, I guess that happened. Like, in the original, it's so, like, impactful.
Yeah.
Everything is so impactful.
Well, no,
I think that comes down to the cinematography, too.
I mean, for me, the biggest part, at least with the ending, that made the ending feel so much more powerful than the original, is the performances. Like,
yeah,
the main character in the original, like, you just see just the fear,
oh my
and
God,
like, the pain, and just the shock on his face.
The absolute, like,
and
limit, like the outer limits of human emotion displayed in that movie. And this is just Josh Brolin. We both looked at each other and we were like, Josh Brolin, he's just not. He doesn't have it.
He's just not bringing it as far.
No,
and I don't know what it is.
He's letting
as far
us
as
down.
Like I don't think he's the correct actor to take on a character like this.
Yeah.
That has gone through this. Like, and we were saying,
just doesn't have it.
We were saying throughout the whole movie that, like, so in the first part of the podcast, you probably remember, like, he's, you know, like, I had said that I thought that Sam Jackson was the main character of this movie, like, based off, like, that was all I had known about this movie beforehand was that, like, Sam Jackson was in it. Yeah. And Sam Jackson would have done a much better job at portraying this type, like, what this character needed. As
always
far as
the
like,
bridesmaid, Sam Jackson, man. He's always the bridesmaid. He's never. I can't. What was a movie where he's the lead?
Or he's the lead,
and not just a supporting character.
Kinda Pulp Fiction.
Kinda
Hateful Eight, I'd say. I call him like.
Yeah.
He's
Tarantino.
He's a big thrust in that movie. Shaft.
Yeah, that's fair. God, he's so good though.
Yeah, he is fantastic.
And he is the best part of this movie.
Snakes on a plane.
He's sick of this. These monkey fighting snakes on this Monday to Friday.
Snakes on this. What else? Oh, Sam Jackson. You know an actor's got creds when their filmography has its own Wikipedia page. I'm gonna go back to the.
No, but it's just the original is just so visceral feeling. I think it's the difference between some people wanting to make an actual work of art, some people with an actual vision and care for what they're doing, versus the Hollywood machine that for some reason now has the rights to a movie who needs to shove out a product. It feels like just the cinematography alone and the editing choices alone. This movie has shot, reverse shot. Every single fucking scene is shot, reverse shot, shot, reverse shot.
Yeah.
There's no creative editing. There's no like split screens. There's none of the original charm or style. It's just the most flat, boring. Everyone sounds so fucking bored when they talk.
The original definitely has like a lot of just kind of longer takes that sit on two characters. As far as like it'll sit on like a composite, like if it's between the main character and the girl from the original, like and they're just having a conversation, it'll just be one shot on them.
Oh my god!
In an interesting position in the bedroom, like you see like posters on the wall and like kind of like it's. Whereas like in this movie, because they probably just did like
it's lit flat. They just sit in a room and they talk at each other.
In this,
it was nothing.
Yeah.
Do you remember? There's a shot at the end of the original when Odesu is getting hypnotized and he's getting it described to him that like there's going to be Odesu and there's going to be the monster, and the Odesu isn't going to know the truth about your daughter.
Yeah, the lighting and the colors.
He's looking out the window really and the lights turn out. And we just see his reflection in purple light on the window, and that's so fucking beautiful. And there's nothing. There is nothing that comes even close to that.
Not even anything,
that little detail in this movie.
Yeah, like, ultimately, I forget so much about this movie. And I said it to you while we were watching, like, this movie honestly made me think, like, was the original even that good?
Yeah.
Because it's the same story.
Style versus substance kind of thing.
Exactly. I'm like, wow, it really is the same story.
It is, though.
But it's
and, like, that's the thing is, like, it is a great story, and I think that speaks to like not so much that like style can cover up a shallow story, but even a really good story can be fucked up if you don't care about it.
This whole thing has kind of made me think about how I feel about watching adaptations of one thing and then the original of another, and I think it's like I think about it made me think about when I first read Ender's Game. So like I watched the Ender's Game movie before I read the book.
Okay.
And like I'd watched the movie and thought like, oh, that was good. And then when I read the book, I was like, oh my god, the book is a million times better. And it made the movie so much worse.
Wow.
You know?
Okay.
And just kind of thinking about like how I'm really glad that I watched the original Oldboy. Before I watched this remake.
Oh, dear God. If you'd have suggested that we watch the remake first, I would have jumped out the fucking window.
You would have been like, no.
If you'd have had the ending spoiled for Oldboy by this fucking piece of shit.
Yeah. No, because like the strength of how that reveal was executed in the original was such a big part of it. And it's like, I don't know. It's kind of interesting because like we were talking about it while we were watching the movie. I feel like it's the best case scenario for when you're adapting something in the same medium. Like if you're doing like a movie to another movie or a TV show to another TV show, which is most of the examples we thought of. Like, you know, you have to bring in like your own kind of strengths. Like I was talking about how the TV show Being Human, like there's the British TV show, and then like they did the remake. And for those of you who haven't seen Being Human, it's about a werewolf, a ghost, and a vampire that live in an apartment together.
Walk into a bar.
Yeah, basically just like living together. And in my opinion, I watch both shows. I like both shows. I think the werewolf shit was done way better in the British show, and the vampire shit was done way better in the American version.
That's really interesting.
Like one, I think like the actor that played the vampire in the American show, I thought was just like better as that character. Plus, I just think like the way that they have the vampires in the new show just made them scarier.
Yeah.
Just, you know, the design and like other aspects of them, you know.
Yeah. It's just different cultures, different takes, right?
Yeah, and I think a big part of it too is like kind of how Americans have taken the vampire mythos and like a lot of the associations and like the kind of new cool slicker vampires, you know, versus like what we're hearkening back to in like the British show with the vampires is like, you know, up in the castles, you know, astute things. And I feel like you know, I think what this movie needed what
vampires, gotcha.
What this adaptation needed was like someone to come in and bring in their own style.
Yes,
because
someone please have something to say,
because I feel like this movie almost kind of stuck too close to the original. like I was saying that like I think Justin Lin would be a good filmmaker. I thought that like Robert Rodriguez could be someone that could do a good job.
Yes.
As like bring your own exaggerated energy to
Please do something comic booky or any like have a sense of style, have a sense of like artistry that you want to bring in. I said that weird, but artistry. Is it based on a manga?
It is based on a manga.
Yeah. I did not know that. That's so cool.
And
that's so cool. I thought it was an original idea.
No. The original movie is based on a manga. Wow. What year did the manga come out?
I had no idea.
It was serialized from 1996 to 1998. 79 chapters, a collectible. Yeah, and I don't know. Apparently, so the reason I was looking at the manga is because on Wikipedia for the 2013 film, it says that there was plans in 2008 for DreamWorks Universal Studios to make a remake starring Will Smith with Steven Spielberg as director, and that movie like died on arrival.
Thank God. Would have been worse. I don't know, man.
I think
Will Smith to me is such like it's like a bread sandwich. I don't know if I've ever been like wowed by Will Smith, like a Will Smith performance. It always just feels like he's playing Will Smith. You know what I mean?
Have you ever seen? I'm trying to think of my favorite Will Smith like action.
Probably I Am Legend for me.
I'm also biased because I grew up like Will Smith. Like I grew up like loving iRobot, even though like I know a lot of people hate
Will Smith in that.
I know a lot of people hate. Yeah, he does always play himself, but I always liked Will Smith.
No, yeah, I get it. I mean, he's playing a likable character.
But this is saying that apparently that adaptation was going to be more of a direct adaptation of the manga versus a remake of the original film, which this says that...
Interesting.
This says that...
That would have been interesting.
This says that the 2003 film changed a lot from the manga. Like, and I don't know...
I'd like to know what.
Yeah, well, first off, he's only in it looks like... By themselves in a small room instead of private job being kidnapped and imprisoned. Yeah, so like he was only in there for 10 years in the comic.
Damn, it just keeps going up. Huh?
It keeps going up.
Because he's in there for 20 years in the Spike Lee joint.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know if like it's his daughter or anything in the comic or whatever. Like I don't know what they changed. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about the fact that dumplings. Yeah, they bring the dumplings back in this one.
Yeah, they did.
I want to talk a little bit about Spike Lee because like I love Spike Lee as a filmmaker. And it's not even like I don't feel any of his energy, any of his kind of like, you know.
I couldn't tell there was a director for this movie.
Yeah, it just kind of like happened.
Yes, it felt like it was just like someone who directs like TV movies.
Yeah, like it really didn't.
Like he had like a second unit director that did everything, and then he texted him like, "Make it brighter."
Yeah. Because honestly, I feel like you could take this story. I think Spike Lee wouldn't have necessarily been a bad job if you had let him take a lot more liberties with the story. Like,
I don't think he cares about the source material.
Well, like if you let him change the setting, change the motivations of the character, basically let him bring in like race as an element.
Yeah,
essentially.
Well, that's Sam Jackson is the lead. It would have been really interesting.
Yeah, like he could have. I'm trying to think of an example of something that has
like. Yeah, taking the original manga and jumping off of that as the source material, you could change anything you wanted, and you wouldn't have to harken back to the same iconography or anything.
Have you seen the Watchmen TV show?
I saw the first episode.
Did you like it?
I did like it.
Yeah.
It's just like it's hard to get myself in the mood to want to like be sad more.
I get you, but I think that's a good example of like you take a source material, whereas like that show is a.
Because I mean, the comic for Watchmen is inherently extremely political.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But like, the Watchmen TV show is a brand new story that, even though it takes place years after,
it's so cool. I love the idea.
It's not really connected that much to like the original characters, the original plot necessarily. Like, it's its own thing that's happening in this universe. And like it takes like some of the characters and like it takes aspects of the world and tells a new story about new things with it. And I feel like if they wanted to adapt this story, they could have done something like that, where like someone brings in a lot more of their own elements.
Yeah. And
I can't think of another example of something that's done that.
I can't. Well, that's what makes it so interesting. Is that I think the idea of like adaptation. All right, well, we have to hit this story beat and this story beat.
Actually,
and this story
the
beat.
best example is that the SpongeBob SquarePants movie is the Odyssey. That's the best example.
It is kind of it is.
with the Cyclops. And no, like literally, that's like it's based off.
I really like Oh Brother Where Art Thou.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
That's my favorite adaptation of the Odyssey.
I want the Coen Brothers.
Old Boy.
I want every filmmaker.
I can't even fucking imagine that.
I want every filmmaker to have their own version of Old Boy. I want
Wes Anderson's Old Boy.
Wes Anderson's Old Boy. I want Jordan Peele's Old Boy.
Jordan Peele's. Now that would be interesting.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Now that I would like to see.
If anybody could do it, it'd be him.
Someone reach out to Jordan Peele, please.
Who would be the main character? Who would be the main character in Jordan Peele's Old Boy? I'm trying to think of not Daniel Kaluuya.
No, yeah, that was the first thing I thought too.
Lakeith Stanfield.
There you go.
That'd be interesting.
Oh, what's his the guy, Tenet guy?
Tenet guy, John David Washington.
Yeah.
Nah, bruh.
No. Yeah, he's too sleek, isn't he? He's too cool. We need a weirdo. That's the thing. Josh Brolin's got such a fucking wooden face, and he's such like a bro. We need a fucking weird guy.
I just realized we never talked about the creator, and I know that this episode isn't about the creator, but I don't like John David Washington as an actor.
No?
No. I think he's boring.
I think he is like, if you type actor in like, you just like, we need an actor to play this guy.
He has the same energy as
the
guy from Avatar.
Yeah.
Sam Worthington.
The guy, any of the actors you can't remember their names, he's like one of those.
Jack Courtney, Sam Worthington.
Yeah. He was not
John David Washington.
Man, that movie is worth I know we're getting sidetracked, but
no, we totally can. It's whatever. I'll put in like little creator tag discussion.
The creator is I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say it's a great movie. I'd say if you like really cool sci-fi production design and like robots, and you just want to like, it'd be a really good double feature with like Blade Runner 2049. So you can like watch something that you can use your brain, and then something that you don't have to. You can just look at the cool robots.
Yeah, no, the creator to me was just like, the story was nothing.
It was nothing.
Yeah, and then I didn't really care about any of the characters, but damn, that world was cool.
God damn, it was like a fucking anime.
Not only the visuals, but just like the way that the new, like the society was structured, and then some of like the sci-fi concepts. Spoiler alert! Oh my god!
Like every frame has some cool shit.
Just like every 5 minutes,
you can download someone's brain and put it in a robot, but it like fades away really fast. Yeah, dude, so you gotta like interrogate it really quick.
You scan the human's brain, and
then the robot looks over at his dying body, like, oh fuck, tell my wife I love her.
So good, and just the whole concept.
That's a cool idea
of like donating your likeness to the AI and stuff. Just
I love that, and I love that we went from like we're talking about the creator in Oldboy episode, but I love that we like started in like a rural area, and we see like the impact of this on that, and then we go to like a whole city. So the director's just like giving us everything that we would want.
It was definitely big District 9 vibes for sure.
Big time. I was like, is this directed by Neil Blomkamp?
No.
I love the I saw someone posted, this is an actual scene from the movie, and like it was the scene with the bomb with the arms and legs.
Yeah.
He was like, thank you.
That was funny.
It was an honor serving with you, ma'am. It's just like a trash can on like really long arms and legs. This is not an exaggeration.
Yeah,
it's like, it's a pleasure serving. It's like, you need to go now, and it like hesitates, like, I don't want to die. It runs across the bridge, like sprints through the fog, arms pumping, and he just bowls past everyone and just fucking blows up.
I had a few kind of like plot hole problems with the creator. I think as far as like they could have gone a bit more into explaining like how exactly the like the AI functioned, like, because like I understand why they all acted human. As far as because at the very beginning of the movie, in like the little intro thing, which the intro of the creator was badass.
Oh yeah, it was great.
Like the little 50s thing, like robots are here to help us. And
I think that movie is a really good example of not a great script, really good director.
Yeah, no, the execution was super. Yeah, the writing and the performances are where it suffered, but anyway. Like it was directed very well. But I wanted to say, because they say in the opening, like, we created the AI by scanning the human brain. So as far as like their mind
functions a lot like ours.
Is literally a recreation. Like we've figured out to emulate a human brain. So that's why they behave human-like.
Yeah.
and they have emotions and shit is because like they're literally just like a recreation of a human mind.
Why did we do this?
You know. But there's still that one robot that smoked a joint in the movie, and that still confuses
yeah.
shit out of me.
I don't understand why the trash can bomb had any like self-preservation instinct when it's literally like its only function is to go fucking kill itself.
Yeah, no, there was some confusion, but no, very cool movie. But to wrap up on Spike Lee's Oldboy compared to the original, I think upon rewatch of the original Oldboy, which I'm definitely going to rewatch like relatively soon because like
it made me want to watch it again for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to.
I was like, wow, I wish I was watching a better movie.
Yeah, I'm going to do a deep dive on a bunch of analysis videos and shit. But I feel like it's like beyond just the overall execution of the movie. I think one of the biggest flaws that the Spike Lee version did was change the motivation of the villain.
Yeah.
And like I can't right now say exactly why. Like
you want to explore that more.
Yeah, his backstory is worse, but it made him feel less threatening. Yeah. His character was just so much less interesting.
I think it's important to acknowledge just how much worse the character was, like in both performance and I'm just not. I don't care about Charlton Copley. He's just such a fucking cartoon.
He was trying, but he was just trying at something that didn't work.
No, yeah, well, that's entirely the director. He's just doing this. He's holding a phone with his fucking like middle finger and thumb, like with his pinky out, like he's drinking the tea.
Yeah, Wikipedia doesn't say why Spike directed this movie. I don't want
Wikipedia. Why did he do this? Why did you do this to me?
Oh, no.
Help, Wikipedia. No, but I think, like I said, I think it just brought to mind just how great the original is. And watching it a second time with you, it's fucking great. Like it holds up so well. It's got so much style and flair. It's got such a strong directorial hand. It's got this. We've got this creative editing. We've got this like red dotted line between the hammer and the guy's head when he's holding it up, and it's like, how did you think of that?
It definitely makes me want to. It definitely makes me want to explore way more foreign cinema in general.
Yeah.
It's
it introduced. Yeah, it's very inspirational to broaden your horizons.
Exactly. It's just something where it's like. You know, and it was the same thing with this movie. It took a while for me to really kind of get into it and feel the world out.
But I think that's a valuable experience. I think being kind of like tossed in and experiencing culture shock in a movie, I think that's something that helps us, widen our idea of like what a movie can be and how storytelling can work. Like when you don't fully understand the culture behind something, it makes you want to explore that culture, Yeah, it's a great movie. Loved it.
Highly recommend.
Not the second one. Don't watch Spike Lee's Oldboy.
Yeah, don't watch. It's not worth it.
It's the most boring shit.
It's not even worth it to compare.
I just wanted it to end.
It is just boring.
I was like, oh my god, just let it end me.
Anyway, so this is the end of the episode. I haven't decided a good way to end these yet. I kind of want to do some like movie trivia at the end of these.
Ooh.
But maybe not today.
Not today.
Next time I get you back, Joseph, I want to talk about some John Woo.
John Woo. Yeah. I've never watched a single John Woo movie.
We gotta watch Hard Boiled.
I'm so uncultured.
We gotta watch Hard Boiled, Face Off, and then something else.
Face Off.
Yeah, Face Off is great. Anyway, have a nice night, folks.
Bye.
Bye.